Yeah, let's go. Y'all know I don't like to waste y'all time, so let's get right into it. Here we go.
They're great!
Don't do it! You can still earn income while learning how to code!
I'm a janitor!
There's no experience required!
You mean anybody could do this?
Yes, all you have to do is click the link below.
Who's gonna jump?
Gotta be a
Wow.
Today I name
Crazy.
10 wrestlers who need to be elevated ASAP. Not eventually through Triple H's long-term booking. I mean, they are shining brightly where they are and they need to get to that next level right now. I got this idea actually from Southpaw Jimmy 9735, in which I asked you guys to ask me a question and then I'll answer it. But I'm going to devote a whole video to this one. And the first wrestler is Dominic Mysterio. Now, I'm not saying we need to elevate him to the World Championship, but he does need to be elevated to the Intercontinental scene. The mid-card title is where he needs to be hovering at all times. He needs to start lying, start stealing, start cheating more in order to stay there always. Consistently be fighting, because the reaction this guy gets is just amazing. The fact that he cannot speak a word without just the entire crowd booing him out of the building. People would die for that kind of heat, and he has it, and it's not going away because it's been there for like 2 years. Let's get this guy up the card, not just in prominent storylines here and there, but always just a lot of airtime as a focus point, not just a supporting character. Number 2 is Jey Uso, and you might be thinking, whoa, isn't Jey Uso already in the main event? Well, his nickname is Main Event Jey Uso, but his win-loss record, not so much, because he gets a lot of #1 contender matches, but never the big win, and I want him to have the big win. I'll settle for a mid-card title, the Intercontinental title, but honestly, I would love for him to have a small, quick little run with the actual World Championship before he heads over into the Bloodline saga once more, because I do want him to go back to the Bloodline saga, but I want him to have a strong singles run right now before he goes. So when he exits the Bloodline storyline, he has all this stuff on his resume and he can pick up where he left off. And if you want to elevate your decor in your room, all you gotta do is comment below, and I'm gonna give away this belt to a random commenter on my quest to become a full-time YouTuber. My first big, hairy, audacious goal is 10,000 subscribers, and by the time this video goes up, I'm just right there at 6,000 subscribers, give or take, and that's crazy for me, because I quit YouTube many years ago thinking that I had failed, but I restarted it at WrestleMania 40, and here I am with 6,000 subscribers. That's insane to me, and I thank you guys. I thank every single one of you, especially Moneybird and Brian's Wrestling and Blade Master. Those guys are members of the channel, and I greatly appreciate you guys, but every single one of you just getting my videos up there, commenting, subscribing. As Homelander would say, you're the real heroes. Okay, so anyways, the next competitor that we're going to elevate, Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green is known as a comedic character, but honestly, she's really good in the ring. I don't think we need to play up her skills in the ring because she's such a good comedic character. She can kind of be like Dominic Mysterio in that she's a chicken heel that wins by cheating, that wins by any means necessary, and is just gloating and just obnoxious about it. The only reason why I'm afraid to elevate her is because she was a big fan of the Divas belt, and oh, that Divas belt, I hated that Divas belt, but you know what? That would be a good way to get heat. Even with me, even with a supporter of Chelsea Green, she would get some heat from me if she brought that back. So let's elevate her. Let's get her up there. Oba Femi. Oba Femi is on NXT. He's going to be the only NXT person on this list, even though I do feel that there are a couple more who are worthy of it. I'm only putting Oba Femi because this guy is a beast. He's about to become the longest North American champion, but honestly, I don't care. I want him on the main roster, and this guy does not need to lose for a very long time. This guy is amazing on the microphone. He's amazing in the ring. He's literally doing things that I've never seen before. And it's great because he does not come from a pure wrestling fan background. He was kind of just discovered, and maybe that's going to create a mindset to think outside the box when it comes to moves and wrestling in the ring. So I'm really looking forward to Obafemi on the main roster, but I want him elevated now. They might not do it though because NXT is about to move to the USA Network, but when Raw moves to Netflix, right then and there, make a statement with Obafemi. Ricky is next. Wait. Hear me out before you unsubscribe and say this is the worst wrestling channel of all time. Ricky appeared on SmackDown and he got cheers. He played the part. If you go back and watch, he was literally very animated, really great. Now, I'm not saying let's make this guy into a champion, not even the US title. However, I say get a contract on this guy and make him into a kind of James Ellsworth, someone who has no business being in the WWE, and yet he is in the WWE, and every once in a while, he might even get a very big upset win. He shouldn't beat lower mid-card guys even. He should never beat an Apollo Crews, just the opposite. He needs to beat someone like Andrade, who will go absolutely nuts that he lost. And of course, Andrade's only going to lose to someone like Ricky because a Carmelo Hayes or an LA Knight got involved. But put Ricky alongside LA Knight and just watch those two riff on each other. I think that would be hilarious. So let's get Ricky an actual contract and elevate him up to a James Ellsworth level in that it would just be hilarious. Speaking of LA Knight, he's next. LA Knight, yeah, you might be thinking, well, didn't he just get elevated? He did, but he needs to be elevated further. LA Knight should be in the main event. LA Knight is the main event. Watch LA Knight walk into an arena and the atmosphere changes. Suddenly it gets electric. And you can say all day long, oh, he's just a catchphrase. Doesn't matter. It just flat out doesn't matter. Look how far The Rock rode his catchphrases, and I think LA Knight could ride his catchphrases pretty far. Maybe not as far as The Rock, but pretty far nonetheless. I don't know why he's not the face and the world champion. Let's get him in that main event and always in the main event. Honorable mention that I'm not counting as one of my 10 is R-Truth. I think R-Truth should win some kind of battle royal or, I don't know, some way, somehow he finds himself in a #1 contenders match against Cody Rhodes. And the reason why I say this is because on Cody Rhodes' What Do You Want to Talk About YouTube show, he told R-Truth, I need to finish my story against you. Because when Cody Rhodes was a lower mid-card guy like Stardust and all that, R-Truth would always pin him night in, night out. So Cody has never got a win on R-Truth. And so let's have this, like, I don't know, it's on a SmackDown episode. A random episode of SmackDown has no consequences for the storyline or whatever may be. The bigger picture is just this nice little contained 2 to 3 week story of Cody Rhodes finishing the story on R-Truth. And if we really want to go crazy, R-Truth wins by disqualification. But no, just let Cody pin him, and it gives R-Truth a nice little paycheck, a little shine in the main event for a moment. I just think it would be fun, and I would like that. Kairi Sane, she is amazing. I feel that she was never fully pushed because they were kind of just really on board with Asuka, which they should have been, and which they did completely mishandle on the main roster. And I think Kairi Sane, I don't know, maybe they can only push one Japanese person at a time, but whatever the case may be, it's Kairi Sane time. She is so good, so amazing. I would love for her to be bumped up to women's champion. She's in Damage Control and stuff, but I feel like she's more than a background player. She's more than a tag team player. She was busted open on the announce table the other week, and she was still in everybody's faces. I had hoped that would have been a Becky Lynch moment where her busted face, but continuing the storyline and the angle would have got her more credibility than it actually did. And the reason why I don't think it did was it was kind of lost in a tag team angle and not the main angle of a main pay-per-view, PLE. But regardless, she is so freaking good that it's a shame that she hasn't done more on the main roster, and I want to see that that now. Chad Gable and American Made. I feel they dropped the ball with them in regards to the Wyatt Six. They were great to elevate the Wyatt Six, but I just don't understand why they used Chad Gable, because in theory, in reality, Chad Gable was kind of elevated after he left the Alpha Academy, but then I think he was instantly kind of just shoved down the card to be fodder for the Wyatt Six, and whatever. I just want that feud to be done and Chad Gable to get his props, his dues. We can just keep American Made bullying everybody at the top of the mid-card until somebody takes the title off of Gunther, and then we can have Chad win. Ludwig Kaiser, that guy has the most punchable face since The Miz. Ludwig Kaiser is a James Bond villain. Now, I stole that description from Mr. Sante's app, so please don't be like saying I'm plagiarizing. I'll tell you I'm plagiarizing from Sante's app. Ludwig Kaiser is like, he has the look, right? And he has an endorsement from The Undertaker as well. And Undertaker thinks very highly of Ludwig Kaiser, and so do I. I think he was rightly put in the shadow of Gunther because Gunther is so great and amazing, but I think it's time for Ludwig to kind of come out of it. And they have actually been doing that. He had a mini feud with Sheamus. He's not always with Gunther. Sometimes he appears, sometimes he doesn't, so they're still friends, and I'm cool with that. We don't need to have a big old betrayal. They can still be friends and whatever, and maybe a tag team even down the line, but I just need to see more of Ludwig by himself doing evil things because he is so good and he holds himself and talks a certain way that it's hard to describe, but nobody else does, and that makes him stand out and unique. The final guy is Jacob Fatu, and you might be thinking, isn't he already in a really high position? Yeah, he is, but he can go higher, and I want to elevate him to the Tribal Chief. He's not maybe ready for the world title right this second, but we can get him into the Tribal Chief. After SmackDown, I've already done a video on it. Solo, he's done. I don't care what you say, Solo is done. He's cooked, he's buried, and it's time for Jacob Fatu to step up into the Tribal Chief role. We can still have The Rock as the final boss pulling the strings and now giving orders to Jacob Fatu. I don't care about that, but Jacob Fatu needs to be the main villain on SmackDown, leading the charge, because if you look at Jacob Fatu with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, those three, they look dangerous and menacing. But once you put Solo Sikoa in there as the leader, suddenly only Jacob looks dangerous and menacing. It's time to elevate Jacob to stepping out of the shadow of Solo and being the Tribal Chief that we are recognizing until Roman fully takes over again. But that's besides the point. And hopefully, though, this will eventually lead to the title run that Jacob Fatu deserves to have eventually. Not now, but eventually. But for right this second, just elevate him to the Tribal Chief. Guys, girls, what'd you think of my list? I thank Southpaw Jimmy once again for his question. I hope this answered it. I know you said 5, but I doubled it. I didn't think you would mind. I appreciate every single one of you. Have a great day.
I was playing Injustice 2, just trying to rank up. But thank y'all for watching. I'm gonna see y'all in